Have you ever tried growing potatoes from seeds? If you haven't, you definitely should. It's actually a lot of fun. I never thought about growing potatoes this way. I always grow potatoes from potatoes, by simply using small potatoes or cup potatoes with eyes to try to get the crop. I know potatoes can be grown from seeds and come true if grown from their heirloom varieties. It works pretty much the same as any other member of the Solanum family of plants, such as tomatoes. I couldn't find heirloom potato seeds at the time, and I purchased these Clancy F1 hybrids online. F1 potato hybrids like Clancy are obtained as a result of crossbreeding between true homozygous parent lines. It was the only type of variety in this online store, so I thought, why not give it a try? For approximately 20 seeds, I paid $5.45 Canadian. I planted them as I always do, in a tray, and I waited. They sprouted pretty fast, within a week or so, with an 85 to 90% success rate. But the seedlings were very delicate, so I lost some of them. They grew very long, trying to reach as much sunlight as possible, even though they were on a very well-lit windowsill. I planted them outside after the danger of the last frost had passed. I did not provide them with a lot of space. I planted them in between other flowering plants in my garden. It was more so of a botanical experiment for me, and I wasn't really trying to grow them for food. So my baby potatoes grew individually between other plants, and I'm pretty sure they didn't have enough sunlight and suffered a lack of water, and I lost some of them due to my negligence. They were very delicate, but a few survived and grew into bushes. I was very excited to see them blooming with nice light purple flowers. They were basically carefree plants. Pests normally don't feast on plants of the Solanum family due to the presence of solanine. So I didn't have problems with them at all, especially in the beginning of the season. But closer to fall, I noticed some holes in the leaves, probably due to earwigs. Anyway, around September, there were already green berries, and I started noticing small red tubers around the bushes of potatoes. Just before the first frost, I collected all the seeds and the tubes and decided to save them until spring to plant them back and grow real big bushes with potatoes suitable for consumption. But now I have to save them. I took a plastic tray, put some peat moss at the bottom, placed some tubers on top, and covered them with more peat moss. I made a few layers like this. Some of them I placed inside mesh, and I kept them together with tubers of calla lilies just on top of everything in the same plastic tray. I stored this tray in a cool, dark place over the winter inside my garage. As well as the potato berries, they were kept in a small open box in the same garage with an average temperature of around 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. I didn't want to take the seeds out of the berries' skin too early, so I kept them as whole berries until spring. I was afraid that the seeds inside the berries weren't ripe, so they stayed in the same conditions until spring with just some of them slightly dehydrated. At the end of March, I noticed some of the tubers started to grow, and I noticed a few young shoots started to pop out from the tray with peat moss. So I realized it's time to plant them properly in soil. I prepared another tray with soil, planted them, covered them with a centimeter more of soil, and I started watering. I placed this tray on a warm windowsill. They basically started growing right away. I also planted my own collected seeds. I squeezed the berries into a jar with water. I watched them slowly separate from the flesh of the berries and sink to the bottom of the jar. I took the seeds out, sprinkled them on top of soil in another tray, and placed that one on a windowsill as well. I know that due to hybridization barriers, hybrids in the F2 generation lose their hybrid variety characteristics from F1. Sometimes they have very slow sprouting rates, or sometimes they are completely sterile and don't sprout at all. So, of course, if you want to grow potatoes from seeds and obtain your own seeds to continue, you need to choose an heirloom variety of potatoes for this. I was still hoping that the seeds were viable and that I'd get a positive result in spite of hybridization, at least because it is true hybridization, without gene modification or polyploidization. These Clancy potatoes are pure crossbreeds between two homozygous species of potatoes. It happens very often in nature as a natural process, and in the worst case scenario, nature will return back to their heirloom stage, using their own smart biological mechanisms to provide stability of genes and diversity of the gene pool. As I was expecting, the seeds sprouted at very high rates. Now I just have to wait until the danger of the frost passes and plant them in open ground to see if the F1 Clancy hybrids will show me the face of one of the parents. It's very interesting and I can't wait. I still have these F1 Clancy hybrids here in this tray that can be propagated vegetatively just as potato from potato. So I will continue my botanical experiment and I will make an update at the end of the season. So please make sure to subscribe.